involved in this here. So state representative for Rockingham District 15 is next, and that Rockingham District 15 is just Newton, okay? So we have a Democratic candidate and a Republican candidate who are going to tell you about them. So we'll bring up the challenger first, which is Kate Michaels. So Kate, if we could bring you up here. Did you want the podium?
Okay, I'm going to be a podium person tonight. I had a little family emergency, so I hope you bear with me. I'm going to be looking at my notes. My daughter had to come home early from school today. So first, thank you to Selectman Burrell and everyone who organized this event. And thank you all for caring enough to come tonight. And of course, thank you to Mary Allen for your years of service to this town. It's really inspirational. And can you hear me okay? Okay, good. So I'm Kate Michaels, and I'm running for your state rep, and it would be a complete privilege to represent you in Concord. I'm a single mother who moved to Newton for a fresh start after the death of my daughter's father. And truly, I always dreamt of living in a beautiful small town closer to nature with good neighbors. And I am so grateful to have that here in Newton. It's a way of life, for me, worth protecting. I found that in Newton we share far more than what separates us, our love for our family and friends and wanting a future that fills our hearts with hope. And I'm running because I care about the town and I care about the people in this town. So as I said, a little more about me. I'm a mother, I'm a small business owner, an educator, a clinical social worker who specializes in addiction, trauma, and PTSD, among other things. I'm also trained in mediation. You probably know what that is if you divorce mediation. That's how to find consensus when people don't agree. I think it's a very useful skill, and so that everyone is heard. Also trained in conflict resolution, which is similar, and clinical research. Now that may sound boring, but it is really crucial in obtaining accurate information when you make very important decisions for people's lives. It taught me never to accept a report from one special interest group as my only source of knowledge. It's really important to me. I've spent a lifetime helping people and empowering them, and I want to bring these skills to Concord to help the people, the families, and the children of Newton, as well as those suffering from addiction, which I have a lot of experience with. And I believe the only way this is done is working across the aisle with integrity and hard work, caring, availability, and fiscal responsibility, which is always asking, how much does this cost and who is going to pay for it? I've seen firsthand in my life what we can accomplish when we work together and empower one another to do our best. It really works. And to do this, we have to keep our conversation going because working together is a collaborative process. This means meeting with the residents of Newton on a regular basis and listening to what is needed and then coming up with innovative ways to meet these needs. And there's one thing I've learned about innovation in all my years of helping people, and if you are ideologically entrenched and unwilling to listen, you cannot innovate. It is absolutely impossible. It doesn't work. You cannot do the same thing over and over and expect a new result. Innovating requires being open-minded, curious, flexible, and listening to one another, even if you don't think you agree with that person, because there is value in our differences. It also requires finding out what has worked and what will work. This is time-saving and money-saving, and it's the best way to go about things. And also in all things, prevention saves dollars and lives. Okay. So you can get the idea. I believe people are what matters. You and your families and their right to prosper, to safety, and to a positive future are what's important. People are more important than political parties, more important than corporate agendas. People are more important than big lobby groups and super PACs telling us how to run our state. And the only special interest group I care about is you. And the heart of our country, it's our people. We are the best investment in the future of this country because without us, there are no consumers, there's no workers, there is nothing. We're far more powerful than we often feel and realize. And if any one politician tells you they can fix everything, they're wrong, because it takes each and every one of us working together from the ground up to create the positive future and changes we want and I want to create that positive future with you. That's my elevator speech. And I have flyers, like many of the people here in the back of the room, which goes over in detail my positions. Obviously, as a Newton resident, the property taxes are a problem. We all know that. There is an excessive tax burden here. There's lots of mandates from Concord, but not a lot of funding. Definitely not for state income tax. Probably people want to know that. And we have to address New Hampshire's longstanding structural deficit, because that's not, we can't be on a good financial path together. Obviously, the opioid crisis, very important to me. I'll bring my skill set and in addiction and recovery, very interested in preventive care at an early age, preventive treatment. There are incredible programs coming out now which don't cost a lot of money and have a wonderful impact. And I just want to thank you for your time, hopefully your vote. And at the end of your hardworking day, I want you to be able to rest easy knowing I'm going to have your back in Concord. So thank you.
All right, thank you, Kate. So now we'd like to welcome our longtime state rep, Mary Allen.
You're going to put a mic on me because I'm too short for the podium.
How's that? And you can just hold that?
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, I'm Mary M. Allen. I've lived in Newton for almost 50 years, and I have been your state rep for 6 terms. I am fiscally conservative. I watch the bottom line because your town taxes stay in town. Not a dime comes to Concord to support us. We have to be very careful how we spend our state money. Because when you buy gas, when you buy tobacco, when you buy a number of products, you're supporting your state government. That's where your dollar goes. It's my job as your representative to see that it's spent wisely. And I do. You have to be impartial. There is no getting away from it. You have to look at the whole picture. When pays go up astronomically, as they have in some states, they're now having a problem because the cost of the service and the cost of the product has gone up as well. So the dollar is ahead of the product cost. We'd like to give raises, and we should, because they are hard-earned workers take home. But we have to do it in a manner that will not increase the cost of the service or product. We have to balance the budget. Our state law does not allow us to borrow to balance the budget. We have to come up with a balanced budget. We also have to create laws that help individuals in their daily pursuit of happiness. We live a long and prosperous life today. Years ago, life was shorter. People didn't think that age would play such a role in our economy. It does. We're working longer, we're far more active, and we, the older generation, do have a voice in what happens. There are a lot of problems. They all need to be looked at. You can't separate one from the other and say, well, this is more severe, because they're all severe. from drug addicts to drunk drivers. I tell people in Concord that I would rather share the road with an unbelted, gambling smoker than either a drunk driver or a drug addict. People might ask you about recreational marijuana. I do not approve. One of the reasons, and we just heard it on the news recently, is Colorado is finding babies being born addicted to marijuana. Brand spanking new babies have it in their system. It will affect their brain growth. So I would not support it. So you should know up front where I stand. It's not something I could support. We almost had a marijuana medical plant here in town. The townspeople let it be known that they did not approve. It will not come to Newton. There are a lot of issues, and I'm sure you all have individual concerns. Call me, let me know, and I will not promise you anything. I will do the best I can, and I thank you.
So I'd like to ask Kate to join us again, and do we have any questions for these candidates? Jim? Yeah, you can hang right there, or probably closer to the podium for the mic.
Hello, my name's Jim Baker. I'm from Newton. One of the big burdens on taxpayers is unfunded mandates, which were mentioned, and also state pensions. And the issues, as I understand it, with state pensions are that several years ago, there was quite a surplus in the pension plan, and the legislators decided to spend that money, take it out of the pension plan. And then several years down the road, the state was short of money, and they stopped funding the pensions for the school districts. And all of that burden has fallen on the local taxpayers. The other issue is that the private sector is switching over from defined contribution type pensions, where it's a set amount that your employer pays and then you pay a little bit if you want to more 401k type investments. And I'm just wondering what your positions on those issues are and how you think you can help the taxpayers regarding state pensions and unfunded mandates.
Right now, the pension plan is problematic, as you said. And the various departments are getting together to see how they can resolve this. It has not yet been resolved, but it is a work in progress. It's the best I can offer you. We are looking at it because it is a problem. Because we spent money when we had to borrow rather than borrow from the plan. And we don't have a fix to put it back in at this time. But it is through finance, through the Governor's Council and fiscal, we're trying to look at how we can resolve the problem we create.
And I agree with Mary that it is a big problem. I met with the, oh, sorry. Hi, you okay?
Yeah.
It is definitely a big problem. I actually went to a meeting with the AFL-CIO and heard stories about people who had signed up for one thing and then their pensions weren't realized. I don't have all the answers. This is one of those things where we do have to work together and innovate, because people have a right to their retirement, the retirement that they're expecting, The issue we always have is we have a budget with a structural deficit, and we want everything, but we don't have the money to pay for it, and that's a big problem. It's a big problem for lots of things, for pensions, for firefighters who don't have wash stations. There are lots of things that we need, and we have to work together and find a way to get them. I wish I had an easy answer, but I'm gonna listen, and we're gonna find a way out of it if we can. It's gonna take all of us.
One aspect of this that I'd like to ask about. The way I read the law, the pension law, is that if the investments don't work out in a particular year or over a period, so that they don't hit the thresholds that they need to pay those pensions, the taxpayers are on the hook for any deficit or shortfall. Can you explain how that works and how that could be addressed?
Not positively, no. I would be not giving you absolute information, and I'd rather not do that.
And I wish I could also speak to that more. As I spoke earlier about research, people who know me, if there's an issue that's important, I dive in. I'm not in the State House right now, but I take these issues really seriously about where money goes, who's paying for it, for the people who lose their services. My partner lost his lifelong pension at United when it went bankrupt, so this is a big deal. And we can't keep the burden on the local small property taxpayers here.
All right, I'd like to thank these candidates for joining us tonight. Take that off your hands. Want me to grab it?
Yeah.